great crowd in the room also. So, but today I'm very excited to talk to my friend Saeed here, who we've met very recently, became fast friends and already co-invested in some deals. We have partnered on certain things around deal flow sharing and LP sharing across the MENA region and in the US. So Sheesha Finance and Draper, Goren, Holm are going to work together closely here, and we will help them expand their reach in the United States. And man, it's awesome to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you. So good to see you again. Thank you for being here, everyone. Really good to be here. My name is Saeed Darmaki, Managing Director for MENA region for Casper Labs, founder of Sheesha Finance. And I'm really, really excited to be with Joseph, and we have so many big plans. I think DeFi is super exciting. NFTs, all the new use cases for blockchain. And there's so many opportunities in the UAE. I know there's a lot of opportunities in the US. We're working with a couple of your portfolio companies, and
yeah, that was the really interesting part when we met. He was like, "Oh, Casper and a few others that we can't really name yet, but Casper Labs is very exciting. We've been one of their earliest supporters. Great team, great tech. What are you guys doing here in the MENA region, or let's just talk about Dubai more specifically?" With Casper. There are some great things going on that you may want to share.
Yeah, with Casper Labs, we're trying to get government entities and corporates and enterprises to use our network. Our blockchain is a layer one blockchain solution. We can support DeFi, NFT, and a lot of different use cases for the technology. We're very bullish on the technology, and we believe Dubai and the UAE and the MENA region is very forward thinking. They want to embrace new technologies in general. But I think from the government down, there's a lot of interest. There's a lot of discussions that we're having with government entities. And I think in the next few weeks, in the next few months, you're going to see a lot of really good news coming out from Casper Labs.
Yeah, man, it's been exciting here in Dubai. I mean, the pace that this is moving forward and the support from the government is something that we would have wished for in the States for many years. It's really amazing. Yeah, as you know, some of the audience may not know this. I'm actually moving here from California, and my fund, Draper, Goren, Holm, is opening an incubator at the Crypto Center at the DMCC, and in partnership with CV Labs also, my friend Ralph over there. And there's just so much momentum here right now, and everything is so positive and high energy, and I really love that. I mean, I got to tell you, man, it's between Dubai and there's nothing else that compares to it, really. I mean, Dubai's blockchain community right now pretty much blows everything else out of the water.
Yeah,
LA, New York, Europe, you name it.
Yeah, it's exploding. I think there's a lot of interest. There's a lot of people that are coming here. I mean, I haven't traveled for the last year and a half because people like yourself and a lot of projects are coming to Dubai, and I'm like, please stay where you are. I want to travel. I want to come and see you. But it's great that they're all coming here. And I live in Abu Dhabi normally, but I'm actually in Dubai 4 or 5 days a week now because there's just so many people that want to talk. There's so many projects that want to launch here. There's so much happening. So I think it's really great, and I'm super excited. And I don't know if what Draper, Goren, Holm is thinking about in terms of DeFi, but I think the topic is DeFi. So I'd really love to talk about DeFi in general, what you think about it.
Let's talk about DeFi. I love DeFi. I mean, we as a fund, we invest in, the hyper regulated security token, digital assets side of things, and then all the way to the unregulated, DeFi space. And for me personally, as an entrepreneur and not a banker, I love, less regulations is better. And DeFi is, I think we're just getting started. I mean, we're just seeing a few use cases here and there. There's, a few other things that we're working on. My friend over there, Dr. Adel, is the founder of DLN. It's a decentralized lending network. They essentially are revolutionizing micro lending and enabling free microloans on the blockchain. Which is just a huge step forward when you consider that typically microloans, they cost 20–30% and involve a lot of paperwork. And once DLN launches, that will all be work on an app. It's like His Excellency said before, half the world doesn't have a bank account. but pretty much everyone has a cell phone. So if you can bring these services to people, then they don't need bank accounts anymore. You can skip that step and go straight to DeFi on your phone without a middleman and no one that can lock you out from accessing it. And that's what really excites me about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, DLN's going to be building on Casper Network. Super excited.
Yeah.
A really good use case, very good grant that the Casper Association have, authorized. So I'm really super excited about that. But I do know that you've also got Plenty DeFi, and that's a yield farming platform that you launched recently.
Yeah, that's a fun one. We launched one of the first yield farming platforms on the Tezos blockchain. It immediately became the biggest DeFi platform on Tezos, doing more transactions than anything else, more contract calls. And Tezos is also very interesting technology, very solid tech. And I think, there are like the maximalists who only like Bitcoin or only Ethereum or only Casper. And I think that the truth is that there can be multiple different blockchains that are optimized for different use cases. And then you're going to have these interoperability layers that connect them all so they're not siloed anymore. That's, for example, if anyone is building that kind of stuff, I really want to talk to you because that's where I think the future is at. And so there will be, just like there's Apple computers and PCs and Windows and then now they can all talk to each other, and blockchain still has to get to that point.
Yeah, I think it's still very early stages with DeFi. I mean, I come from a traditional investment background, traditional assets, traditional financial systems. And for me, DeFi is just disrupting it. So I think anything that's disrupting traditional financial systems and making things much more efficient for normal people, for everyday people to be able to access products and services that you can only access with banks, I think that's really, really important. What we're doing with Sheesha Finance is it's a DeFi platform. It's a decentralized fund. So anybody can participate on the platform and get access to a diversified portfolio, which focuses on DeFi and NFTs and new use cases of blockchain technology. So that's what we're trying to provide to the average people out there who don't have 100,000 USD to participate in a fund, in a traditional fund. So we're trying to disrupt the traditional fund structure. And I think, there's going to be a lot of disruption yet to come. The traditional kind of fiat market is, in the hundreds of trillions. So, and the whole crypto market cap is only a couple of trillions. So I think there's still plenty of room. I think people are kind of negative with the market. It's a bit uncertain at the moment, but for me, the long term is always going to be there. The fundamentals are strong. Blockchain technology is there to stay. It solves a lot of problems, especially in the financial system. So I think I'm very excited about the future, and it's still very, very early now.
I totally agree with you. I think that we're just at the beginning, and one of the biggest things we have to do is make these things easier to use, right? When you tell someone, hey, go to Plenty DeFi, Pancake Swap, Sheesha Finance, whatever, install MetaMask and then connect your wallet. That's where you lose 99% of the people. It's too technical. It needs to be a lot easier, and I think we'll get there. If you remember, like dial-up modems, the early days of the internet, when you had to configure the IP address and the subnet, and then it took forever to dial up, and that's where we are right now with DeFi and blockchain in general. But fast forward 10 years or 15 years, 20 years, I don't even think we'll talk about blockchain anymore, to be honest. It will be the underlying technology for a vast majority of tech that runs on Web3, but it's not like, I always draw the comparison. What database does Facebook use? Nobody knows. Nobody cares. They want to use the service. It has to be better than what was there before, and that's all that really matters. And I think that's where we're going. So UI UX is for me is on top of the things that we have to improve now.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like you talked about the different blockchains out there, like Tezos and Polkadot and Cardano. I mean, Cardano isn't even fully functional yet with any DeFi use cases. So I think there's still got to be a lot of development that needs to happen. I think we need to get a lot of people, especially the youth, involved. And I think, there's still going to be a lot of protocols that come out over the next few months, even the next few years. And I think, the user-friendly aspect and making it easy for people to access these technologies is very important. And I really want to support the ecosystem and support the infrastructure growth both in the UAE and globally. And I think educating people and talking about it and providing the technologies and getting the developers to come in and actually develop is super important for the future as well.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's why it's so exciting what you do here in Dubai, and why we as a fund were so excited to partner with you and push this forward. We also want to, invest in deal flows from the region, but also, once VCs start coming to Dubai and they see the potential, more high quality startups will come, right? So on the deal flow side, it's still slim pickings here. There's not that much going on, but we're so early that I think, in a couple of years from now, funds like yours, funds like ours will attract startups from overseas. I have this conversation literally every week with a potential portfolio company based in the US, who ask me, where should we move? Because we can't launch this here. The SEC is going to crush it. There is a lack of regulatory clarity, and that's where I think Dubai has a huge opportunity to provide a legal framework, maybe similar to Switzerland. Maybe they can improve on it, and that will be hugely successful. So it's the place to be right now here.
Yeah, I think what the DMCC is doing is really important. And I think CV Labs being here as well is very important. They're trying to, provide a center, a crypto center where crypto projects can come in and do their business. But I also think that in terms of regulation, I think we need the onshore regulator, ESCA, to actually come out with robust guidelines, but not to inhibit kind of innovation, but at the same time to protect the people that are in the market as well. So I think, incubators, accelerators. I know DAO Maker, the guys are here. They're trying to set up an incubator here as well. So I'd like to see much more kind of incubators, accelerators coming here. But I think also in Abu Dhabi and the ADGM with Hub 71 is doing a similar model. They're not focusing on blockchain or crypto, but I'd like to see something like what the DMCC are doing in Abu Dhabi and Sharjah. I know the Sharjah Research and Technology Park, they would like to do a blockchain sandbox. And with Casper Labs, we're going to try and help them do that. So, I think we need more of those kind of ecosystem partners and people to get involved here so that we can bring the people from outside and encourage them to come here and actually innovate and set up their projects here. So I'm super excited about that as well.
Yeah, me too. We have about 6 minutes left. Shall we take some questions from the audience? We would like to involve you guys. If you want to ask Saeed something, or me, then now is the time. Gordon?
Yeah, we great minds think alike. It's just so I practice securities law in the U.S. and obviously I'm here. So yes, there's a dynamic of no matter even if you try to get away from Dubai, you keep on getting pulled back. But I want to point out something you mentioned, which is there's lots of interest around the world that are not in hospitable regulatory environments, and Dubai seems to, even if it's not necessarily on the forefront of the formal law yet, they seem to be receptive to evolving there. Is there? And do you see this as a model for other jurisdictions? Do you see that this is sort of what do you see the long-term role of Dubai from a regulatory perspective?
I think,
or the Emirates, I should say. But
yeah, I think the UAE, the ADGM, the DIFC, the DMCC, they've been looking at all the other jurisdictions and seeing what worked there and what didn't work. Like in Switzerland, I know they have a very robust, guidelines and regulations around crypto assets. So I believe look at the other jurisdictions, look what they're doing well, and then use the best of every single jurisdiction out there to find the right model that works for the UAE. So I think when the ADGM, they were the first kind of regulator that came out with the regulation, and they looked at the UK, Singapore model, and they based something around that. So I think looking at all the other jurisdictions and finding the best possible solutions using each one is probably a good approach. But we're still getting there. We're still figuring it out. it's still a new technology, it's still a new asset class. So I think over time we'll get there, but at least it's the effort is there, and we're trying to do it. So that's the right way.
It's also something you don't want to rush, right? Like this is a process that takes time, and you have to be very careful with the dials that you change in the financial system. So I saw another hand over there.
Thank you. First of all, Joseph and Saeed, you are awesome. So it's really nice to hear you and have you here. Thank you. And I have one question. I'm doing DeFi too. I'm exploring everything. I'm exploring every jurisdiction worldwide, and I have a problem. All my lawyers, and I have a lot of like you, I guess, everyone told me that's illegal. So everyone. I can't go there like I want to be a DAO, correct? And they told me, no, that is not possible with your face. You can do it without your face, but if you put your face, it's not possible. Maybe they are talking about that in some places in the US and all that stuff, but I think in the near future, the World Economic Forum, Basilia, I told, and the International Monetary Fund are gonna regulate this, are gonna go through all DeFis, because this is starting to move a lot of money. This is the new reality of finance. So I think the next step, I don't like it, but I think is the next step is to have KYC in the DeFis and anti-money laundering policies, be fully compliant in order to really go through the past finance to the new finance. What do you think about that? Thank you.
Well, you see, I'm actually not in the everything has to be completely unregulated and anonymous camp. I don't think that's good. I think that, you know, there should be a very light touch on regulation. But as far as, you know, AML, KYC, AML is concerned, I don't have a problem with that at all. And I can see even, you know, decentralized solutions that provide these services to DeFi platforms where, you know, you connect your wallet and you go through a basic KYC, AML process, and then you go off to the races, you know, not a problem at all. Exactly. I think that those who really dislike that idea have some other motives, and they frankly shouldn't be around.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, I think so. I think with DeFi, because it's so new, people are still trying to understand what it is, and I think even the regulator doesn't really understand what it is. But effectively, it's a platform. You go on a platform, you connect your wallet, and you interact with a smart contract. So it's all about smart contracts. So what the smart contracts say is actually what happens. And you don't need a third party to say, oh, actually, the smart contract isn't doing what it's supposed to do, because as long as the smart contract is built in the right way, then people will use it in the right way. But I also think that you know, it's most of these DeFi platforms should also go with a decentralized autonomous organization structure where the actual platforms are governed by the people who are using it. So I think with DeFi, it has to be self-governed. So as long as you're giving a mechanism for the participants to decide what they can and can't do and what's fair and not fair, then I don't think there needs to be a third party that regulates what happens on these platforms. But I think before you participate in a DeFi platform, you have to do your research, and you have to make sure that there is a way where the people who are participating are protected by the actual smart contracts themselves. So, you know, there is KYC AML providers. There's a way where you can connect your wallet once, do your KYC and AML, and a third party doesn't have access to your identification details, your sensitive data, but at least on the blockchain, it's verified as a wallet that has done the KYC and AML, and then you can go off and participate in as many platforms as you want.
And I'm going to add one thing. Our time is already up, but that's something that freaks nation states out, right?
I know.
The nation states want control over the money because that's how they control the people. That's just how it is. So the idea of something that's decentralized, you know, outside of the government's reach is something that is terrifying to them. And that's part of why some countries are very slow to adopt regulations, because, well, look at the US, right? they're also losing that the dollar's status as a global reserve currency in the process of this. The petrodollar, like all these things are going away, and they haven't figured it out yet. Look at these Congress people, man. Half of them still use flip phones, and they don't understand DeFi or Web3 and
I know.
you know.
It's gonna be too late when they do.
Yes, well, I mean that's why the small countries have a real opportunity to get ahead here, because they're more nimble. They don't have a global currency to protect. It's easy for them to switch to something new.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It's been
Let's
great.
give a big
Great,
round
thank
of
you so much.
applause. That was
Thank you,
very
Joseph.
interesting. Thank you so much, Joseph and Saeed. Well done. And you touched on some topics very close to my heart. And Joseph, I always thought you had a little bit of a crypto anarchist